Welcome everyone. In this video we'll be talking about the lizards of North Dakota, how to identify the species, and a little bit about their biology and ecology. There's only 3 species of lizards in North Dakota, so this should be a relatively short video. As always, all animals were handled with proper permits using proper safety protocols and then released back into the wild. We ask that everyone respects all wildlife and observes the local and state regulations about the flora and fauna. If you have any questions, you need any help identifying individuals, or if you're an instructor or a teacher and you want to incorporate North Dakota reptiles and amphibians or herps into your curriculum, please contact myself at one of these 2 email addresses, or find me on Twitter, or reach out to North Dakota Game and Fish. And again, as always, we recommend that as you are out enjoying the great state of North Dakota, that you report any reptile or amphibian observations using herpmapper.org or ndherpatlas.org. Herpmapper has an app that can easily be put on a smartphone or a tablet, and you can easily submit images or video and audio of reptile and amphibian species that will help North Dakota Game and Fish and myself learn more about the distribution and populations in our area. Okay, the first species is the prairie skink, Plestiodon septentrionalis. This is a great little lizard species, so skinks are fascinating. We only have a single species of skink in North Dakota, unlike some of the other states in North Dakota. But we tend to see sort of this brownish coloration, sort of long, skinny body, short limbs, and really long tail. These lizards really swim through the vegetation rather than run. I mean, they use their legs, but often the motion resembles that of a snake rather than some of the other lizards you might be familiar with. So they have 2 distinct thick brown stripes on each side, 3 wide lighter stripes on the back, for a total of 7 stripes. The color of those stripes may vary. In the spring, during breeding season, males get bright orange patches on their cheeks, their throat, and sometimes their belly. And the young skinks tend to have bright blue tails and be sort of overall darker in coloration. You can see a little bit of blue on this male here. The blue goes away as they get older, so this is sort of a younger male, where we can see the orange. And then this is a female. We can see the 2 distinct dark brown stripes on each side, and then the 3 lighter stripes on the top. They tend to be a smaller species and move very quickly. They are active during the day, but they tend to be found in thick vegetation. So can you find the skink in this picture? This one's actually a little more obvious than we would normally experience. So take a couple seconds. Can you find the skink? There she is, right? We get up close to her. So this is a female again. I know because it was the breeding season, she had no orange, but we can see the light stripes on the back, the dark stripes on the side. Again, they tend to inhabit this prairie habitat with thick vegetation that they can dive under and sort of swim through. So they're very fast and very difficult to get in hand, but if you move slowly and steadily, you should be able to get a good sighting of them. Here's the juveniles, again, much darker, so we don't really see the stripes as much. This is probably a newly hatched individual, and a bright blue tail, which is hard to see against my bright blue glove, but if we put it against the ground here, we can see this bright blue tail here. Really quite cute. Very fast moving, very flighty, but again, really good looking skinks. Again, here's a better look at a male, and during the breeding season we can see his lips and his cheeks and part of his throat and his chin all have that bright orange. And then here's a female, and actually this female was working on some eggs, so she has a little bit of swollen belly. They do lay eggs. The female will often stay around the nest. She doesn't necessarily guard it. The other thing that these skinks do is they can drop their tail. So it's referred to as tail autonomy. So here's an individual with the tail intact. Here's a skink that has dropped its tail. They can regrow it, but it's essentially a defense mechanism. When startled, the tail will drop off at certain fracture points in the vertebrae. The tail wiggles one way, the skink runs the other. Hopefully the predator goes after the skink or the tail and not the skink. We think they're mostly in eastern North Dakota, but again, given their small size and the difficulty in capturing them, I wouldn't be surprised if they have a wider distribution than we think. But you can see here up in Barnes County and Ransom, they start to get a little further west. They've been found a little bit farther west in the Cavalier and Pembina County. I wouldn't be surprised if they got a little bit closer to central North Dakota. But I would really doubt to see these go all the way to the western side of the state. But again, we just need more information in order to really understand where these skinks are. The next species is the sagebrush lizard, Scoloporus gracios. So this is a Scoloporus or fence lizard. So there's eastern fence lizards, western fence. There's a whole group of species in the genus Scoloporus. These are really quite interesting animals, but we have the sagebrush lizard in the same genus. So again, one of several fence lizards in the central U.S. The ones here are lighter, so the body is sort of this light tan, cream, or light brown. They're larger than the skinks, but not by much. They tend to have a shorter tail, but the body is longer. So it'll be about 4 to 6 inches. Often referred to as blue bellies because the males get blue coloration during the breeding season, as opposed to the skinks where the males got orange on their cheeks and chins. We'll see on the next set of images, the males get blue on their cheeks, but also on their bellies. And again, as they're competing for females. All of the skinks are insect eaters. So I don't think I mentioned that about the skinks, but all 3 lizard species here are insectivorous. The last species we'll talk about is a little more specialized, but Scoloporus are found mostly in western North Dakota, sort of west central North Dakota, and they like rocky areas near water. I haven't found very many of these. I need to spend some more time out in their habitat looking for them. But again, I like Scoloporus in general. They're really interesting. They have some great breeding behaviors. The males tend to bob their heads and do push-ups when they're around other males during breeding season. Very quick, good climbers. Again, here we can see the blue on the blue belly there for the males during the breeding season. The last species is a greater short-horned lizard, Phrynosoma hernandezii. This is the smallest of the 3. I love short-horned lizards. Like these are just a great species, right? So they prefer short grass prairies, so they're found really just in the southwest, the semi-arid, sort of sandier areas. They like to hang out on buttes. The sagebrush and the skinks lay eggs. Short-horned lizards give birth to live young, so really quite interesting there. They're still insect eaters, but they really specialize on ants. They will eat spiderlings and some other insects, but they really primarily feed on ants. So again, like the name implies, they're short. They've got these horns, right? So there's several species of horned lizards in the U.S. This is the only one in North Dakota, and really is just a truly gorgeous species. They're really fascinating. They're called horny toads down in Texas because they got that short, squat body, and so sometimes they're confused with toads, but they are lizard. They're covered in scales. Again, just really only a small portion of the state, probably a wider distribution than the sagebrush, but we still only see them in a portion of the state. You can see these juveniles are quite small. Even the adults here are going to still fit in the palm of your hand. Again, pretty good camouflage out in the arid southwest, so we can see that there's a short-horned lizard right here, right? So the background coloration matches that of the soil typically. Again, we can find them sort of at the around buttes. And then, so here's another picture by Christopher Smith of a juvenile. We can see just how small they get. So this one's sitting on a penny, right? And so the smallest of the three, but really probably they're all adorable, right? But I really like shorthorned lizards. Again, ant specialists really play a great role in that ecosystem out there. So again, North Dakota just has the 3 species of lizards. Should be pretty easy to differentiate them. If you're out east, it's just skinks. If you're out west, it's either the sagebrush or the greater shorthorned. Again, we ask that you submit all your observations to herpmapper.org using the app or northdakotaherpatlas.org so that North Dakota Game and Fish and myself can learn more about our local populations. Thank you.